Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today it is with a heavy heart that I come to you. I've been dreading making this video for multiple reasons. I mean, one because I prayed this day would never come, and the other, well, it's for selfish reasons of vanity, of not wanting to cry or whatever. So I figured this video will probably end up being a certain amount of time long. It will be exponentially longer in the process of making it as I work my way through this. But I wanted you guys to know what's been going on. Many of you already do know. Baba, my sweet Baba, she went to be with the Lord in the middle of February of 2025. You know, it was one of those things where, how do you say it, right? How do you say it as a father to that's lost a child? Do you say, well, my daughter died? Do you say she passed away? Is there anything that makes that stabbing in your chest any better? I don't know, but as a father, I can simply say there is a void there that is crazy. But I didn't want you to think that the world had stopped turning and that the world had come to some sort of cataclysmic end for me or you or for Baba, for that matter. I've drawn great strength from many of the emails and text messages and phone calls that you guys have made. I'll be honest with you, I have not responded to a handful of them. But I do read them and I do draw great comfort from them. I don't want you to think that I don't appreciate them, because I do. What I've discovered is that through this time is that, there are times of silence and there are times of chaos. And those times, it's just the way it is. I have other children, I have grandchildren. They're dealing with their grieving process in the same time that I'm dealing with mine. And Coach Vic, her faith, man, her beautiful, simple faith is so wonderful. To see her with just such an unwavering spine, man, she is a force to be reckoned with. With folks like Coach Vic, she makes grace and dignity look so easy, it almost makes me angry sometimes. It's like, how can this be so easy for you? But I know it's not. She just makes it look easy. She's so wonderful, and she has such a beautiful way of looking at things. And I'm doing my best to learn from her, to try to shut off the negative things and look at the more optimistic side of things. But I wanted to share some things about Allie. For those that don't know, yes, her name was Allie. I called her Allie Baba, and that's where Baba came from. I would call her on the phone. I'd say, hey, Baba, and she'd say, hey, Dada, and we would talk. But one of the conversations that we had not long prior to her death was one that really, I'm like, who does this? Who does this? So I walk into a room 5 days before Baba dies, and she is in her apartment, and she's sitting in the dark, and she's crying. And I walk in, and I'm like, baby, what's going on? What's going on? And she starts talking to me about death and life and fear, anger, all of that stuff. But she had come to this conclusion. She was concerned with me. She's like, Dada, I just don't want to die because you'll be sad. And of all the people that I don't want to make sad in the world, Dad, you are number one on the list. Who in the world in their dying moments is more concerned about the sadness of those they're leaving behind than of the death itself? I'll tell you, that's how Baba was. That's how she is. She is walking on streets of gold. One of the things I used to tell her, is that if you go to heaven before I do, you're going to be smarter than me. She had high-functioning autism, and so she was on the spectrum, and she was a circular thinker, and life was hard for her. It could be quite complicated to navigate some of the most simple things, but she had this way of just kind of bull in a china shop doing it. She would just walk through a brick wall and it would just fall. Man, that's how she was. But she saw things in this beautiful way, and her way was worrying about me. And I told her, I said, baby, the last thing you need to do is worry about me. Let's just get you through this season. We'll figure it out. In my mind, I'll be quite frank with you, I didn't think she was going to die. Not then, you know. I mean, when do you have a calendar that says this is the spot? You don't. You work with things, and we have known for a long time, and I've shared with you on the channel that things have not been going well. You know, we would deal with a treatment, and that treatment would have a complication, right? And we would know that this complication we're going to have to deal with at a later date. And invariably, the solutions for these complications start running out, and that's where we were. Her lungs were gone. They were just gone. She couldn't breathe anymore. Her last few days were pretty tough. They were hard on everyone, but obviously they were the hardest on her. But she, even through that, was always happy to see her family. I told my son the night before that things really got super crazy bad, about 2 days before she died. I told him, I said, you know, look, I don't expect Baba to die tonight, but if she did, it wouldn't surprise me. And which, so I know that intellectually I was there. I understood, but my heart didn't want to believe it. And so when she died, I still couldn't believe it. But I told my son, I'm like, if you want to see your sister again to where she sees you, you're going to have to work your way over here. And so the next morning he was on his way over, and you know, Allie was struggling really, really bad. In fact, enough to where the doctors were like, we need to medicate her because she's suffering too much. And I asked her, do you want to see your brother? And she shook her head. Yeah, she wanted to wait. She wanted to see him. And when he got there, it was, she could barely speak, and it was like, hey, bro. So Allie's love for family and her love for life was wonderful. At the funeral, we didn't have it. You would never expect the Coach Bob family to have a normal funeral, would you? Well, we didn't. We had a family funeral. It was odd. So I spoke. My son spoke. My daughter spoke, and it was quite wonderful. Coach Vic spoke. I'm going to set up a little video right here for you that I want you to hear. This is Baba. Vicky always wanted to do Survivor, but being in a wheelchair, she couldn't. And Allie, having autism, it was like, you know, I can't either. And she made this video that she was hoping would get her on Survivor so she could do it in Vicky's place, right? Well, oddly enough, when we watched this video as a family preceding the funeral, we were like, even when she's trying to lift herself up, really what she's doing is lifting everybody else up. And so my son had this to say, and I'm going to paraphrase because we had the conversation before the funeral, and then he gave them the funeral light version, right? So my son had said, he goes, man, you know, Allie thought I was the greatest brother in the world. Man, does that make me feel like shit or what? And I'm like, man, you are a great brother. He goes, no, Dad, man. He goes, you know what I mean? She just looked at me like, bro, you are the smartest. You are the strongest. You are the this. You are the that. I just wish I could be half as cool as you are. And he looked at me and he goes, Dad, I'm glad she doesn't realize how big a piece of shit I really am. You know, I just had to kind of laugh at him, and I said, man, let me explain something to you. I want you to know this. Everything that Allie said you are to her. She never saw anything else. That was the beauty of Allie's mind. She saw things that way. She saw her brother in a way that he could never be. He could never live up to. You know, anytime I ever told her no, if she was like, hey, Dad, let's go for a Spyder ride, and I'm like, no, we can't, blah, 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 blah. She's like, okay. I mean, there was a zero resentment. To her, a no meant, okay, well, obviously he loves me so much that if he told me no, there's a reason, and there's no point in getting upset about it, because, you know, if he could do it, he would, because that's my dad, and my dad would do anything for me. Well, that's how she views her siblings too. You know, I called Robert, you know, he didn't return my call. Well, he must be busy. He's working hard. He has 2 sons, and all of those things are true. And Robert's like, you know, hey, Dad, I'm a piece of crap, you know. And I told him, I said, no, man, you're not, because in her eyes, you were everything that she described. You are those things to her.
Hi, my name is Allie. I am tough girl. I can do anything. I watch Survivor a lot with my mom, who is in a wheelchair. She loves the show a lot. I hope to get the chance to be on the show one day, and I am different than most Survivor players. I have high function of autism. I am the strongest, smartest, and funniest and determined person you'll meet. My dad retired from the FAA and did Ironman twice. My brother is a nuke on a submarine in the Navy, and he's married. My youngest sister is engaged to be married and has a great job, and I, Allie Horn, want to do Survivor to show them how cool I can be. My mom is my biggest fan, so I want to do Survivor for her, because she can't do it because she's in a wheelchair. So please pick me. And my mom is the strong. She did marathons in her wheelchair. So people who works for Survivor, please choose me. I want to be on it, and I want to show you guys on what I'm made of. Alright, please pick me. Thank you. Bye.
Now, our job, now that she is gone, and your job as people, human beings out there, is imagine how Baba would have seen you, because she would have seen you in your best light. My job now is to become exactly what she saw me as, to be the man that she saw me as, to be the father that she saw me as. And Robert's job, likewise, is to be the brother to his remaining sister that Allie saw him as to her. That is a very tall order too, by the way. That is a very tall order, one that I don't think any of us can live up to. But as I've struggled over the last 3.5 weeks, it's been one where I need some optimism. I need a future. I need a hope. I need a plan. I need something. I need something to hang on to. You know, God, I know you've got her. I know she's not suffering. My human mind knows that. My fatherly heart wants to cling to her, and that's what I want to do. And that makes me very sad. It makes me feel very empty, because I miss her. There's that void, that constant void that's there. But in light of the way she saw us as a family, in the way that she saw the world, she never held a grudge, man. She never held a grudge to anyone that I can recall. She had friends that would get mad at her, you know, because she would say these things just because she had zero filters, right? And she would say things, and people would get offended, and she would be like, I'm sorry. And that was it. It was over as far as she was concerned. And sometimes people could accept that, sometimes they could not, and that was the way it was. But she never held a grudge. If they didn't call her for a year and then called her at 1 a.m. on Sunday night with a flat tire, she would have grabbed an oxygen tank and limped out the door to go help them change their tire. And I'm not being exaggerative in any way, shape, form, or fashion. That's just how she was. You know, God, when he made her, he made a special model, man. She was a special model. She was rough and tumble. She was hilarious. She was silly. She was goofy. She was sensitive, she was kind, she was all of those things. You know, Allie, it was funny, she ran on cross country, and she was as likely to stop and pick a flower as she was to run hard. And you never knew what day which competitor was going to show up, the flower picker or the runner. You just could not, you couldn't put her in a, you just couldn't put her in a category. She was just Baba. That's what she was, and she was special. So where does this video go? What does it accomplish? Well, it accomplishes a couple of things. One, I want you to realize that I appreciate you, and I know Allie appreciated you. And towards the end of her life, as she felt that she didn't look her best and didn't feel her best, she did not want to be on camera. So I honored her with that. She was the person who lived. In fact, it was crazy. We're at the hospital, and they're literally giving us the, you know, do you want to try to get her healthy enough to go home? Or do you want us to just make her comfortable and she can die here in the hospital, because this is not a winnable battle of any kind, coach. And I'm like, well, I want her to go home. With me, in my mind, I'm thinking if I can get her home, I can, you know, feed her an ear of corn and walk her around the block and get another month out of her, you know. And that's how I've handled everything. It's always been, you know, let's figure out the next possible solution. No matter how silly or stupid that solution sounds, we'll find one, and we always did. But they were like, no, this time is different. The doctor was just quite frank. I don't know that I can get her healthy enough to even make it home to where she'll make it through the night. That was on a Saturday, and she died Tuesday morning. And it was crazy how fast things went when things went. Saturday, we were watching TV at my house. Saturday night, we were in the emergency room. And Tuesday afternoon, she was gone. You know, when I get back to the house and start editing this, it's quite possible that this will be incoherent babbling. I have no idea. I have no script when I do these things. I always want to speak from my heart. And my heart tells me this, is that I love Baba more than you can imagine. And the weird thing around her death is that everything I see, no matter how beautiful it is, there's a little hole right in the middle. You know, I buried a wife, I buried parents, I buried a brother. Nothing has ever done that to me. But I don't want this video to be about me, so I'll probably cut all that out. But I don't want this video to be about me, because you know what? Here's the thing. Baba didn't want me to be sad. She didn't want me to cry and whine and, well, be a wuss. That was our exact words. Don't be a wuss, Dad. Don't be a wuss. You know, there's the amount of mourning that you do that is respectful to the memory of that person. And that's important to do. And that's where I am right now. And then there is the disrespect of mourning, and that is what I refuse to do. That is where you throw your life away and you look at everything with that hole in it and you succumb to it. And what I have to do is realize that the light of Allie can plug that hole up just as fast as that light evaporated in my mind. That light can reappear as I remember her in the way that she deserves to be remembered. And so, you know, when does that occur? Is that in a week? Is that in a month? Is that in a day? You know, Robert, it was funny, you know, we were 24 hours after her passing, and I said something, you know, that, man, I've got to do this better, I've got to do that better. He goes, Dad, it is a little fresh. It's been less than 24 hours. And, you know, I am that person that I want to be on a mission. I have things to do. I have things to say in my life, and I have people to take care of. And I take great joy in that. I love taking care of my family, and not having Baba to take care of is left a huge hole. It has. What does that mean for me? It just means I'm going to have to love deeper. I'm going to have to swing for the fences harder. I'm going to have to dream bigger, you know, savor every moment, make every sip of tea just a tad sweeter, laugh at stupid jokes, and just quit worrying about nonsense. I'm going to tell you right now, if you've made it this long in this video, you're here for a reason. I'm going to say this. If you're watching TV and you're eating the politics of the day, I don't care who you voted for. I don't care who you like or who you dislike. If you're eating all that garbage and you're going to bed bitter and angry, you are doing it wrong. You are absolutely doing it wrong. And if Baba could come back, she'd put on a big old brogan. That's an army boot for you young folks. She'd put on a big old brogan and break it off in your rear end and tell you to get a freaking life. That's what she would tell you. She would say, quit being a wuss. Don't let what some guy that's 1,000 miles away make a decision determine whether you're going to laugh today or not, whether you're going to love your family or not, whether you're going to appreciate another breath through those extremely fragile lungs that you were blessed with. Because you see, she lost hers. Her lungs disappeared. Her right lung in particular was just one giant cavitation. It could do nothing. All it could do was hold fluid. And she suffered with that for a long time. And she appreciated her life. We would play silly video games and laugh, and laughing was very hard for her because she would call things up that was just, it was just brutal for her. But she would laugh. She wanted to laugh. And that's how she was. And I'm going to tell you, right now, Baba is standing up perfectly straight with 32 perfect white teeth, and she's smarter than me. She's smarter than you. She knows mysteries that we will not know until we are on the other side. She is walking with the Lord. She has been reunited with her beautiful mother, Sheila, and it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I have to frame it that way so that I can continue to live in a way that would honor her memory, that would honor her life, and would honor all that she has given me, because she has given me way more than I could ever give back. And that, my friend, is the absolute truth. Because the way she saw me, the way she looked at me, and the way she looked at her brother and her sister and Vicky and her extended family, the way she looked at us all should make us all aspire to be better people, you included. So there you have it, a little nugget of beauty at the end of a dark cave. That's how things are, right? Sometimes you got to go through the darkness to get to the gold. You got to have the darkness before the dawn, and we can get through that. And we're going to get through it as a family, and we're going to get through it as friends. There you have it. I'm sure that's a long video because I don't know where I put things and what I said or any of that. I'm just going to tell you this, that I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for being kind to me. I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for being kind to Baba. The cards, the flowers, the hugs, the phone calls, the pictures, all of the things that you've done, and you've done way, way, way above and beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. So thank you, thank you, thank you on behalf of the Coach Bob 3 family. We all love and appreciate you. So appreciate your breath, appreciate those beautiful lungs, and appreciate your family, because it is unbelievably important. All right. Well, you do me a favor until next time. Yes, you go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself, and remember, if you're not having fun, you are definitely doing it wrong. Now you go seize the day, and I will see you on the road real soon, and I promise you this, there will be a smile on this face. Thank you, Lord, for another day.